Ready. Okay, welcome to our Ayurveda talk. Our talk tonight is about fasting. Ayurveda uses fasting for specific reasons. And I always like to talk about a little bit of what's going on in the West, because what tends to happen is things become very trendy. It's definitely trendy right now to fast. And I think I've talked about this before. I've had clients that have wanted to fast or started to fast, and I'd have had to have them stop. Or I've had clients that really needed to do that, and there are reasons why. So one of the things that we want to talk about is a fast is going to be recommended in Ayurveda to deal with either an excess of a dosha. So what does that mean? It means that the elements come together, they make up the doshas, and if you have too much of one element that has caused an excess, then oftentimes we could do a fast and help remove excess. Now, the main excess that fasting is best for is kapha. And we are in kapha season right now. Spring is kapha season. Remember, in Ayurveda, there's only 3 seasons. You have kapha season, that's spring. You have pitta season, that's summer. And you have vata season, that's the fall and winter. Okay, so when would it be appropriate to do a fast? What are the different things that could happen that you're dealing with in your life that maybe a fast is a good idea? Well, one of those things is a fever. If you get a fever, it is a sign that there are toxins, which we call ama, toxins in the circulatory system. Okay? And specifically in the rasa dhatu. What does that mean? Rasa means the plasma. Dhatu is the tissue. Okay. So fever is also in Ayurveda not typically from infection. A lot of times people think that fevers are caused by infections, but actually it's more from toxins. It's not saying that you can't get a fever when you have an infection. Absolutely, you can. But it's mostly because of other reasons that you get infections. Okay. So what we do when you have a fever is you want to remove the toxins out of the circulatory system, and you want to do that and reduce the fever. And the way that you do that is by observing a fast. You don't eat, right? There's even a saying, like I always tell everybody, our ancestors 100 years ago, they knew a lot of this stuff. You had to know it. You didn't have a doctor. You couldn't go just to the doctor. There was no doctor. Or maybe there was one doctor for the whole town. Or maybe it wasn't affordable. There wasn't any insurance. So people had to know how to deal with a stomach ache and know how to deal with infections and know how to deal with, these things that come up, fevers. So when you have a fever, you want to basically observe a fast and get those toxins out of the plasma, out of the circulatory system. It's recommended that you do either a water fast or a fruit fast. Not to be done by individuals who are weak or have some sort of depletion. They don't do it. They have to observe other things. This is Ayurveda's recommendation. Okay, what is another thing that you would do that's going on in your body where fasting is appropriate? Indigestion is one of those things. So heartburn. Heartburn, well, there's lots of different causes. I'll just briefly go over some of them. It can be due to food quantity. You ate too much. It can be due to the quality of food. You're not eating food that's fresh. And by the way, if you're not eating food that's fresh, it means that it doesn't have prana. It doesn't have life force in it. And so it's not going to give you life force. You're eating food that's too heavy. And during kapha season, that's a big deal. You want to not eat any heavy foods. Or you're doing incompatible food combining. You're combining foods that should not be mixed together. Lots of people do that. We don't even pay attention to it. They'll eat this and that, and they just kind of eat all these different things. And that can be disastrous for your body and cause indigestion. Okay, eating too fast is another thing that can cause heartburn. Another thing is eating too late. If you eat too late in the day and then you go to bed, you can get heartburn. So you want to not do that. Emotional eating and also stress. All those things can cause indigestion. What is one of the best things you can do for indigestion? Fast. You don't eat. When you have indigestion, just observe a fast and it will relieve indigestion. The fasting helps with your digestive fire, called your Agni, and it also gives the digestive system a break. So all those things that I just talked to you about that cause indigestion, it's basically what happened was you caused havoc for your digestive system. So you want to just stop everything, give it a break, and let it heal. Okay? When you are doing a fast, there's also, you could do it with a water fast, or you could do it with fresh pineapple juice with a pinch of ginger and black pepper and a half a teaspoon of organic sugar, cane sugar. You eat that 3 times a day. Okay. You do not eat unless you are hungry. You never eat when you're emotional. You cut back down on your meals. So no snacking, and you cut down on portions when you do finally start to eat. And then you never eat anything cold or iced, and you want to stop eating before you get full. Chew your food longer. And also a breathing technique that you could do is breath of fire. That's inhale through the nose, gentle, and then exhale forcefully out. Okay, another reason you would want to do fasting is for nausea and vomiting. And by the way, those are typically kapha issues. So when you have too much heaviness, when you have stagnation, when you have your whole system is bogged down, there's heavy and dense, nothing's moving. That would be another reason to do a fast. So nausea and vomiting. So nausea oftentimes can lead to vomiting. So possible causes can be an excess of acid that it gets secreted, toxins in your liver. So if you have toxins in your liver, you will start to experience nausea and possibly vomiting. Obviously, pregnancy is one reason. Worms in the colon, food poisoning, and the flu. So fasting for nausea and vomiting can be helpful to give a rest to the digestive system. And once again, you're giving it an opportunity to heal, just like with indigestion. Okay, you don't eat for a day and then you drink 1 cup of fresh pineapple juice with that pinch of ginger, pinch of black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of organic cane sugar. Okay, so here is when you do not fast. When you have hypoglycemia, which is more of a pitta condition. Pitta people, remember, they run hot. Those individuals, they tend to skip meals, and that would act as a fast. And then their blood sugar gets low. And when you do that, when that happens, it actually affects adrenaline. So you got to be really careful. So if you are one of those individuals that gets low blood sugar, you do not fast. You do not fast, okay? All right, types of fasts. There's fruit fast, water fast, khichdi fast is what we do in the Ayurvedic cleanses. And then you would want to get some guidance on how to do it. How long you fast really depends on what's going on with you. And there are people who are fasting the morning meal, okay, so if you have a lot of kapha going on in your body, morning is kapha time of day, that would be an appropriate time for you to skip a meal in the morning. It's when digestion is a little more sluggish. However, there's a lot of research out there. At the top of my head, I don't know the name of the doctor, but she's done a lot of research and said, especially for women that are dealing with a lot of hormonal stuff, so you're in menopause or post-menopause, you want to kind of have protein first thing in the morning. Your body needs it. I know this gal, she was on Dr. Huberman, and I'll have to get her name. But so you gotta pay attention to what's going on in your body. You got to pay attention to what's going on in your life. Fasts are meant to be done when you are able to stop, be still. You don't go running around and do your regular exercise and run all the kids around and take your husband here and there and take your dog out for all these extra special things and whatever. You just don't do it. When you are fasting, you have to stop and be still. You do. Fasting should be bringing in stillness. Okay, there's one other reason to fast. There's a few others, but this is another big reason. Sometimes people fast because they want to raise their vibration. Really, what does that mean? It means that when you are in yoga, you're dealing with lots of different energies. They're called the gunas. The gunas are what we're going to talk about. Those are your mental energies. So when you're dealing with the gunas, you have tamasic energy, which is basically more of like earth and water. It's heavier and it's very tamasic, means there's like inertia. So the first thing that you would do when you're coming out of that is to move into what they call being more rajaic, which is bringing in activity, stimulation, get things going. Okay. Then the next thing you would do is become sattvic. Okay. So here's one of the things that happens with the gunas is when you are bringing in a lot of information, the news, violent movies, just negative conversations, those thoughts, that negativity affects your mental stuff. It affects us and it has to go somewhere. And if it doesn't, it will start building up in the body and it'll become pain. It'll become aggravation. It'll become irritation. And so fasting is a way of helping to release negativity and impressions that have been brought in through thought. So it's another reason to fast. Again, you would want to do that with support. Okay, so those are some reasons why we would fast in Ayurveda. You would definitely, when you're doing the Ayurvedic spring cleanse, which you are still able to do that at this time, you cut way down. There's no meat. You're not doing any of that. This is all affecting us. So you want to be really simple in your diet and you cut everything out. And you typically go on what they call a khichdi cleanse. That's what we do when we're doing the Ayurvedic cleanse. Okay, so if you have any questions on fasting, when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate for you, reach out to me and let me know. Thank you guys.